John, welcome back to the jump seat again. Another week, dude.
Hey, good afternoon. Another Friday. Here we are in August.
It's always good to see you here, and it's welcome to all of our guests who are joining us from around the world today. Love seeing you guys here on Friday afternoons. I hope everybody's well. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time or just learned about the jump seat, hey, it's hosted by two backseat firefighters, myself, David Durstein, and my cohort in crime here, John Martins. And so the jump seat is a weekly spotlight that we bring industry thought leaders, subject matter experts, new products, concepts from around the industry, really for the ultimate goal of just making the fire service a better place. And we've been doing this now for several weeks, and we enjoy putting this together for all of you viewing on a regular basis. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy your time here in the jump seat today. We've got a couple great guests to have on as we tackle some really cool topics and dealing with technology in the fire apparatus and the stations there. So, John, how's things been for you this week?
Been good. Yeah, it's been a lot going on. We're continuing to watch this whole crisis, just that we're under, as in my case, as a traveling regional rep with IDEX Fire and Safety, and many of the other companies. We all have our challenges, and even at the department level, how we're doing our daily operations and protecting ourselves from exposures. And we've heard time and time again of outbreaks popping up, and we're just having to deal with life right now. There's no quick solution, I don't think, or we would have found it by now. So we're just gonna have to hang on tight for the next while and hope to get to a better place. So I'm doing good though. So
Great,
thanks for asking.
great. You brought up an interesting thing. It's just trying to control yourself to potential exposures or exposures all the way around. And I was actually talking to one of our customers this morning on the phone, and we've been playing phone tag the last couple of days. And I got him on the phone, and I said, "Hey, how's it going? What are you up to?" And he goes, "Well, I'm on day 4 of 14 at home." And I'm like, "Oh no, don't tell me." And sure enough, this chief had actually contracted COVID. And unfortunately, he pinpointed it exactly to when it happened and when it occurred, and it was an exposure from a person in the community who decided and was probably a little more nonchalant on wearing masks or protecting themselves, and made the exposure plain as day to him, and there was no avoiding it. So it's unfortunate, but I think that's a key piece you bring to the table there now. So,
Dave, tell us about the. I'm going to share my screen here with respondersafety.com. Shine a little light on that. I think it's a great resource, and I'm glad you told me about it. I was unaware of it until this week myself. So,
I ran across this site, and just some of the happenings in the fire service. There was 2 incidents that just popped up. For those of you who follow what's going on in the industry, there was an accident in North Carolina that took place, I believe it was Sunday night. So a fire department was operating alongside a interstate highway. The main incident had already pretty much been wrapped up, but they were utilizing apparatus to block lanes and traffic, and essentially they got hit by a semi, and it actually impacted 3 fire department rigs, 3 trucks in the process. And there were some images, there was pictures, and I know we talk about it, we hear about it in this industry all the time, about operating safely and effectively along the highways, along the streets. So that was the first incident. And when you hear of one, that's bad. Any incident that happens, particularly with fire service personnel, and luckily in North Carolina, no personnel were injured from the fire department, just equipment. The other one was 2 days later, and a little different scenario is LA firefighters were actually pulling up on scene of a RV fire, and as they jumped out and were deploying hoses, traffic decides to do what they want to do, and sometimes the general public forgets that they're supposed to slow down and move off to the side of the road, and we don't want them running over hose. Well, in this specific case, a car that was passing by decided to actually run over a hose line, and in the process grabbed the hose line and drug it. And in that process, it actually took out a couple of firefighters. I think there was one that was minor injuries in the scheme of things, but it's still one of those things about, watch your back, be safe. And maybe there's some information out there that can present a safety benefit to us. And so I was just looking it up, and I was I'm looking at my screen here now as well, and was kind of just trying to find information out there that I could share with my department or others. And I ran across and said, this is a great tool. We need to share this on the Jumpseat today. Yeah. So it's respondersafety.com. It's actually put on by the Cumberland Valley Volunteer Firemen's Association. And this site is actually a valuable tool for on-highway responses, not just for fire or EMS, for all emergency responders. There's some great resources on here. And so I thought it was worth giving it a plug.
Definitely.
Great job to all you guys at the Cumberland Valley Volunteer Fire Association for putting this together. And I'd encourage anybody, who's watching, check it out. There might be some really valuable resources for you and your departments to capitalize on.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. So I guess we'll switch gears here and really start focusing in on our I'll say our guest for the day. We make this interesting by including new faces every time, and so we'll get right to it. I guess first
Lord
things
knows
first,
they don't want to look at me and you.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. We know that's the truth. The numbers say it. No. So yeah, I guess we've talked some about technology. A lot of people know that it is changing our world around us in our consumer world as well as our fire service, right? And it's not just bells and whistles and buttons. There actually are obviously life-saving improvements and enhancements that come, but they have to be integrated properly. And I think that's the key today is how do we integrate and how have the guests here who I'm going to bring in, how have they integrated some of these things and how's that worked? Because a solution requires a lot more than just the dial, the button, the screen, the computer, right? That doesn't solve the problem itself. It requires being integrated into existing structure with proper guidelines, training, the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to bring in our guests and introduce them real quickly. So we've got in the Jumpseat today Brian Shepard. He's a captain in the Maryland Heights Fire District, as well as firefighter Dave Rodriguez with the St. Louis City Fire Department. I wanted to start and let them kind of do a quick intro. So Captain Shepard, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in the fire service.
Well, good afternoon. Been in the fire service for 26 years, since '94. I am a second generation firefighter, paramedic with the Maryland Heights Fire District, as John was stating, and seen a lot of things and changes from '94 on. It's changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I can't imagine, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it and getting more details as we dive in. So, welcome to the Jumpseat, Brian. Glad to have you here today. So, Dave, firefighter Rodriguez. I don't know, what do you want me to call you?
Dave's fine. Dave's fine. I'm
okay.
pretty informal. So
we could really get in trouble today with Dave and Dave, right? So this
right.
Could be fun.
At the end of the day, we'll see how it plays out, and we'll find out who to blame later.
All right, sounds great. Sounds great. So, Dave, tell us about yourself and where you are a firefighter, and a little bit about your background as well.
Okay, yeah. So I'm a firefighter in St. Louis City. I've been there actually at the end of this month, middle of the month, be 11 years. But I have about 17 years total in the fire service. About 2 years or so as a volunteer, and 5 years or so working with a combination department. So I've had some pretty cool experiences working with, in rural areas and a little bit more urban, and then obviously very urban here in St. Louis City. So I feel like I got a little bit more pretty well-rounded in that respect. So I had some pretty cool experiences that way.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I know just getting to know both of you here as we were preparing for the show, and knowing each of you a little bit more before that. You guys, both of your departments have embraced technology in different ways, and I'd say even challenged the status quo over the years. So, how have you guys been able to do that? And maybe what are some of those key things from a technology perspective that you guys were maybe trendsetters or starting that initiative in your regions or even across the country?
Yeah, Brian and I actually kind of talked about this. We brainstormed a little bit because I was like, man, where have we done this? What are some of the technology that we use? And once we got started on it, it was kind of hard to stop once we started thinking about all the different ways we've integrated technology into our daily lives, or really our operations. And Brian really got me going on just SCBAs, our thermal imagers, dispatching software. A lot of people now have some of those dispatching apps like Active 911, or that's one we use. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room here, both of our departments implemented the SAM system really early on, and I was actually pretty fortunate. It started on my truck, so.
I'm going to pull in a little visual here, Dave, for those wondering. I'm going to play a little video here while you tell us. But so tell us, this truck was utilizing SAM during this fire. Is that correct?
Yeah. So that truck was a 2000. That was the year 2000 model truck, and that fire was probably 2016 or so, maybe 2015. I don't know. But yeah, we pulled up to this warehouse. We had heavy fire showing from the rear. We pulled off a 2.5, and obviously that wasn't going to be enough. So we were just trying to get things knocked back a little bit and protect some exposures. We had ended up having a deck gun, an aerial, and then a 2.5 going off of there. So we had a lot of lines to manage because we had some exposure issues too. It was a really windy day. That's actually not even our first due area. There's, I guess, 2 other companies out, and that's how we happened upon it like that. And it was a heck of a fire, as you can see.
Yeah. And that was so SAM was helpful because you were able to manage multiple pressures effectively without causing additional manpower needs or overpressurization of places you didn't want it to go. Is that accurate? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's some other companies there. It's hard to see in the screen there. They're not all in that shot, but that was after a few other companies must have arrived. But yeah, we had like I said, we had a 2.5-inch line off. So we're pumping that at 1 pressure. We got our deck gun and then our aerial up. So you definitely don't want to overpressurize that 2.5 and send them what you're trying to send to that aerial, because obviously somebody's going to get hurt.
We had something very similar. We were one of the first manufactured trucks with the SAM unit on us. One of its first working fires was a nighttime fire, and it was a fully involved house, and we run casts on our trucks as well. We had cast lines going off, integrating pressures with our aerial and as well and everything. And the technology of the SAMs made it safer for our guys not feeling the aerial pressure or the 2.5 between the two.
Sure. And I think a big piece here is integrating it and making it, I'll say, laterally where everybody understands it that may be on that scene. Tell us how difficult or not difficult that was to bring that into your operation, your crew, your department. Because I know a lot of people go, that's great, but how does that work here? How does that work for me?
For Maryland Heights, and we're pretty progressive. We've always tried to push the envelope. If something's out there, we're not afraid to try it. And to be honest, when I first saw SAM's, the unit type, I was like, we don't need a computer board running our system, until I put my hands on it and actually ran it and understood it, how it frees up the driver operator and make it safety. He allows him to keep an eye on his crews and everything else. Now, my technology and our guys, it's just not in it's in our EMS as well as rescue equipment and everything else. We've had electronic valving and everything, and our guys are pretty familiar with electronic valves and understanding it. But when this came in and integrated to the department, the training and understanding it took less time for these guys to operate it than it did several weeks of understanding the process of how to pump a cast truck on electronic valves.
That's a really good piece you brought up there, and that enhancing that training and effectiveness in a shorter period of time. I mean, Dave Rodriguez, I'm going to throw this back to you. Have you seen similar things at St. Louis in that same mindset?
Yeah, I mean, so we're a pretty progressive department. I feel like we are. We really pride ourselves on the experience that we have. It's no secret that we're pretty busy. We have a fair amount of fire duty. And when Sam first came along to us and Serrano retrofitted our truck, that was that I was against it. Did you lose me there?
Okay.
Just a second, but you're back.
Okay. I was really against it. I was hesitant, but then just like, Brian said, once you get your hands on it, guys were like, okay, there was a little bit of just gaining the confidence in it, but, just confidence in anything new. There's the old saying is, firemen hate two things: the way things are and change. And once guys saw what it was able to do for them, it was, it's a lot easier, and there's a lot better buy-in, from anybody that's used it, had the opportunity to work with it.
And too, I think we need to be fair here too. Name some other, I guess, technologies or new innovations you guys have brought in as well. And was that as smooth as Sam? Was that more complicated, less complicated? Tell us how you've done that with some other things.
As I said, we're pretty progressive. The battery operated tools, we did a big thorough study to figure out which one would fit best for us between Hamatro or for Hurst or Genesis and everything else. And the battery operated hydraulic tools that, we had the old portable generator as well as integrated the smart technology generator where it was already integrated in our front bumper. And we thought that was the state-of-the-art thing. But once we put these battery-operated tools, everybody initially was scared because, well, this is not going to have the power that we need on a regular hydraulic system. So we put them side by side. The battery-operated tools work faster and efficiently without any battery loss. So, just by getting your hands on it and integrating it that way and getting the guys involved and getting the buy-in from them, gets the belief, hey, this has happened, it works.
I think you bring up a really good piece on that battery operated tool thing there and that effective use of the tool and enablement. One of the big things I see in my own department too, and I'm sure you probably did as well, is before we were only able to use really 2 tools at one time because we were limited by the pump, right? And so now all of a sudden I can have 4, 5, 6 tools running on a scene with a major extrication. And it really comes down to the enhancement of that enablement of the technology to do so.
Oh, as well as car fires, porta powers was the old thing. You grab the big porta power to pop the hood or pop the trunk. Now we just grab the spreaders off the front bumper just as quick, and they're in and out quicker and out of the way.
One thing with those battery operated tools, I learned early on from an old squad captain, rest in peace, Art Ricks, but he guys would grab that power unit and they'd set it right next to the scene. So we'd have 15, 30 feet of cord or hose, whatever, but we'd have our power unit right next to us. So it creates extra noise, extra chaos. So he was really big on pushing that out of the way and getting that back and trying to calm the scene down. And those tools, the electric tools, are quieter, and they have just the same amount of power and they're doing what they need to do. So I think that can help kind of, move your scene along in a better way.
It's interesting because I'm watching and monitoring comments as they're coming in as we're talking here. And so Ryan, Anthony, and Ryan, I'm not sure if I'm going to get your last name right, Oransinki, down in Pasco, Florida, just shot in, hey, these Hurst battery operated tools worked well on their scenes recently. So, it's great to hear about people embracing that technology and utilizing those tools more effectively, just like you guys are in your respective departments there as well. So, that implementation, did you have resistance at all? When you went down the battery-powered tools, was there resistance from the crew initially?
I wouldn't say much from the crew. On my side, it was more from the upper echelon because the history of batteries, they run out quick. We're replacing them, or they don't. The shelf life is horrible. Well, they've proven technology nowadays compared to 5 years ago blew it away. So once they saw that, the actual run times, they bought in pretty quick.
Awesome. Yeah, and in St. Louis, kick or push back a little bit. Some of the guys, just the same thing. Man, the batteries aren't going to last as long. They're going to break. We're going to lose a battery. And so far, they've done really well for us. And guys we can get, like you said, Dave, 2 tools in service a lot faster, than I could before. And, we can have more tools working on scene, and things are going quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's great info.
Just like with those tools, then I imagine there's been a little bit of that with Sam in both your departments as well, right? So, and there's been a little resistance. How has that proven out so far as you guys have ventured down the path further here?
Yeah.
Well,
So
go ahead, Dave.
we just recently got a newer person to our to my company, and he had heard, rumors. Well, I heard that it does, this. It's just going to shut down your lines, or it's going to do this. And so once we said, no, that's absolutely not what's going to happen, and we took them out and we show them, people's minds start to change on it once they see it. But it's just like anything, like we talked about with the battery operated tools or thermal imagers, or people probably had, when SCBAs were first coming out, that all the pitfalls, all the things that could go wrong, instead of really what the benefits are. Once we started, guys got their hands on it and were able to see it in use, it became a lot more. It was an easier sell. It was easier for people to buy into it and believe in it. But just like anything, everybody's nervous about something new.
Yeah, like on our end, Dave has primary drivers as we do. Some of my guys who've been 30 years on the job, old school lever pullers, are like, hey, I don't need a computer screen to do my job. I can't operate it. What happens when the computer goes down? What am I doing? The explanation of it, how it works, and understanding that they've been using the same technology in electronic valving, and by just opening this valve is just in one location now. And they actually, when the truck would go into manual by training for us, we've never had it on any type of scene lose anything. But they're like, this manual stuff, I want to go back to my computer screen and use the SAM unit by my touch. I can get in a lot quicker and I understand it. And the speed of it on a fire scene is greatly increased versus going old school. You see our testing here, we go both trucks, both times. You're putting in a pump, you're going into on the scene. I've already got my first line deployed here, already flowing water here at 5 seconds. I haven't even got 9 seconds, 10 seconds flowing yet on my other line.
For anybody wondering what the stopwatch is, that's timing the amount of seconds you're looking at your panel, moving levers, moving valves, opening intakes, those kinds of things.
Right.
On top versus bottom.
Speed, getting it out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brian, I'm not sure, what your training program is there, but, if you have a new driver, you teach them how to manually pump the truck and what's going on first. I mean, that's what we do when we got our new guys in. I wanted to show them, just like, when you were in grade school, you had to learn how to do long division on paper before you could use a calculator. And so, that's kind of what we're doing with this is, I take our guys and we got to show them, they got to learn pump theory and how to move that water through the pump and what it's doing. And then once they have a good understanding of that, then we transition them over to SAM and we show them it's kind of I always tell them it's kind of like having a coach or an experienced guy there, so that when things get a little hairy, you start running into a low water situation or something like that. Instead of, so our trucks get loud, RPMs go up, and it creates this kind of chaotic environment. And I kind of touched on that with the battery operated tools and quieting that scene down. SAM is going to kind of be there to help manage those pressures, bring things into a point where you're like, I have a problem. I know what my problem is now because it's going to tell you right on the screen. And now I got to fix that. It's not going to fix it for you. It can't make water, but it's helped our guys in those situations to not be as panicked maybe, or to, just it slows things down a little bit for them.
Yeah, a good example on that, Dave. On our end, we had a working house fire. Truck went in service, and we actually had a feed line 3-inch to the truck you see there, the ladder truck, and we had a bad hose. We had a line burst, started leaking first, and then we got the audible alarm at the pump panel saying water management, hydrant flow. And so the pump operator, hey, I've got something going on. It allowed him to walk around the truck to figure out what he had on. Not only he knew, but I was on the scene. I was in the back of the working house fire. So I'm probably 200 feet away. The alarm I could hear in the back and understand in it. Hey, guys, something's going on with this truck. Be ready for water. Be ready to change. Something's being corrected. This to the management of the alarm and understanding what it was and the operation and training of it allowed our guys to understand, ready to go.
And Brian, real quick, not to interrupt, I did see another comment come in here from Stephen Webb, and everybody take a look at that. He's currently having a Rosenbauer built SAM system. And this is good for him to hear this from you guys, no doubt. I mean, who better to hear it from the guys who use it every day, right? So, Stephen, that's great. And I hope you guys can connect too as they get their truck and work through some of the integrating, because that's what we're doing. We're integrating this into an existing framework, right? Our company, our apparatus, our crew. And so anyway, I just wanted to point that comment out. Stephen, thanks for saying that. That's great.
It's crazy because I just had a conversation with a guy. He was just talking about the electronics on the trucks, period. You know, he was really kind of, I just don't trust them. So, well, if you don't trust the electronics that are components of this pump and the governor, you probably didn't trust that truck to even get you off the apron and to the scene. You know, what do you mean? And you start to figure out that, wow, a lot of these are the same components, and, you know, it's all off the shelf products. I mean, the technology's been there, and we're just utilizing it now to its fullest extent. So.
Well, I tell you what, I can sit here and listen to you guys talk about stories all day long because I think it's a great tool. And, particularly as you're putting it into application, into use every day, if you had to buy a truck again tomorrow, would it have SAM on it?
Most definitely. We got one on order.
Got another one on order.
We got a bumper with the smart cast coming with it.
Awesome. And Rodriguez, I'm assuming you're
in the same
ballpark.
It's been good for us. The guys that are using it, that's the big thing is you got to use it. If you haven't used it, then you're going to have hesitations. But, the guys that are using it, we like it.
So for those people who are watching right now, following us along that are naysayers about it, or I'm on the fence, what would you tell them right now about SAM?
Use it, try it, find a demo or get one of those set up. Like I said, I was adamantly against it, originally. I told the inventor, Jason Serrano, to his face, no, this is not going to work. And he proved me wrong just by, completing the project and letting me put my hands on it and use it. And so that's all it was.
Yeah, I agree. That's the same thing I said earlier. I was at the show and I'm like, I ain't doing it. I waited a year later, got my hands on it when the Cities 10 came up, just to feel the transition and flow of it. And it was great. I've talked to other people that said the same thing. I would say get a demo, get somebody come in with the demo trucks coming around, or somebody who has it, go out and flow it, speak with them up front. It makes a difference.
And for you guys too, I think we'll make sure and put it in the notes, but we want others, if they have questions, if they're getting ready to receive a SAM truck, I would love for them to be able to ask you guys some of the things too.
Oh, definitely.
As an end user, you've integrated this, you've seen, give them the fast track, right, to integrating this into their company. So I think that's great info.
So, gentlemen, I just want to say thank you for joining us in the Jump Seat, sharing a little bit about your departments, how they've embraced technology, particularly how it relates to us and SAM on an everyday basis. I think a great message was clear from all of you, and that is do your research, try it. You're going to have some resistance. You're going to have some naysayers, but man, just like battery-powered rescue tools, the benefit to you and your department is bigger than you expect or even anticipate, and that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. John, hey, really quick, if they want to know more about SAM, if people watching want to know more about SAM, what do they need to do? Where can they find that?
Definitely. So the best way to find more information is to go to samflows.com, and I'm actually putting it up here for all you to see. For anybody that wants to I think they even have a guided tour on there now, which is pretty cool. We realized that we can't be everywhere with a SAM truck every day, right? Or we would, because it's awesome. But one of the things you can do is go check out that page, and you can get some preliminary info and get in touch with your regional guy. And we'd love to come see and tell you more and get you in touch with some of the other guys like Brian and Dave who trust it, because they do. So,
yeah, and I think one of the other big things to point out is, there are a number of demo trucks out on the street today from a number of manufacturers. So if you want to check one out, get a hold of the folks here at IDEX Fire and Safety. We'd be more than happy to put you in touch with one. But you know what? The same token, I know Ferrera's running one around. Alexis has got one running around. Fort Garry Fire Apparatus in Canada for all you Canadians who are joining us. There's Spencer Manufacturing. Fouts Brothers has got one online here really quick. Toyne's building one. Pretty much every OEM is building one. Yeah, Rosenbauer's got a couple in line as well. So pretty much all the OEMs are building them right now. We just got the St. George order. They started delivering those trucks out of Ferrera. You guys who joined us a couple weeks ago got to see a factory tour of Ferrera with a St. George Sam truck in there. So a lot of exciting stuff happening around Sam. And I know some of our listeners there are also picking up on that as well. So Stephen Webb, good luck with your new Sam truck. I can't wait to maybe we'll get you on the jump seat here when you get a minute here as well. And thank you guys for joining us in the jump seat today. Much appreciated.
Dave and Brian, we'll see you guys next time. Hopefully, we didn't scare you off, right? Stay safe.
So
that was great info. Wow,
that was awesome info. I'm glad those guys were able to join us today. Two great individuals with a lot of experience on SAM as well as just in the fire service. So thanks to Captain Shepard and Firefighter Rodriguez. Comment
I was going to pull in here. So we have, as a longtime firefighter, I love hail pumps. I have a design incorporates your 3-inch. Interesting. Animal reviews. I'm going to send you a message after this.
Perfect.
So thanks for the comment.
Well,
Dave, let's see here. So next week, I'll give a quick spotlight to what we got next week.
Absolutely.
We're actually going to be switching gears again, which is we're pretty good at doing. We try not to hit the same thing too many times in a row here. We're going to be talking about tactical thermal imaging use in the fire service, an introduction to Insight Fire Training. They contacted us a while back, and we said we'd love to bring you guys in to talk about a topic we haven't hit yet, and that's thermal imaging and how to use technology, right, and integrate it to create new value for how we do our daily jobs. So looking forward to that next week on next Friday again. So
absolutely. Well, we'll be here again next Friday at 3:00. Hey, to D Animals Review, thank you again for your comment there, and we're looking forward to having you join us next week as well as anybody else watching us. I'd also encourage you, hey, if you see that little button at the bottom, hit share right now. Pass this on to your friends. We're broadcasting live today on Facebook on several different IDEX Fire and Safety platforms, whether it be Hearst Jaws of Life, Akron Brass, Hale products. So definitely like us and share. We'd also say you might be joining us from Instagram as well as YouTube live as well. So we're in a whole bunch of different places. Come check us out every week at 3:00 Eastern time. And with that being said, John, till next Friday, it's great seeing you, and I can't wait to be back in the jump seat.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Be safe.